memory in this building. Just building off of that, what did this building, this Timberwolves franchise in the city, mean to your playing career, and now what's trickled over in your coaching career?
Yeah, I have some of the greatest memories of my life in the Twin Cities, and we have kept our lake home up in the lakes area that we still try to get up to. It's been the one place that my kids have some consistency with all the moves over the years, and so many memories up there with that place. It's where I recovered from my open heart surgery. My life was essentially saved in Minnesota when I found out about my heart condition. If I would have gone, I had some very lucrative offers to leave, probably for double the salary, but I decided to stay here because of how much we loved it. And, I was very fortunate that things happen for a reason in life. And, that's where I found out about my heart condition. So, just so many memories, good times, tough times with the adversity that I faced, with those surgeries. But being on this floor right here, is probably the highlight of my, at least professional playing career. Being here part of some really special teams, keeping in touch with those old teammates, and just had something special. I'm still convinced that we would have won the whole thing at Sam Cassell and not gotten hurt in Game 7 against Sacramento. We still took the Lakers to 6 without our closer. KG was the MVP that year, but Sam was a guy that a lot of times would close the game out. So, just unbelievable memories in here in the city, on this floor. I got my start. Life after basketball started for me in this organization, which I'm still very thankful to Glenn Taylor for that opportunity.
What's different about it?
Well, the outside of the building's different. They upgraded it. I think the last time I was here was when my son Jack was playing in the Final Four. It was at U.S. Bank Arena, the football stadium now, is where he was playing, and I got tickets courtside to sit next to Oklahoma City. Billy Donovan was a good friend, sat next to their bench, and watched the game. I think that was the last time I was in Target Center. So, I think Tim Conley's a great friend of mine. He's the GM here now, and I love what he's done with the roster, with bringing Rudy Gobert in, and I think they're going to have a chance to compete for the Western Conference this year, which is a loaded league, but they certainly got the right guy in charge.
The stories about KG's competitiveness are legendary. What was he like to play with?
KG was the best. I mean, I use him as an example a lot with our team of the type of person he was. His motor was never off, and that was the thing that was most impressive about him. He'd play back-to-back 45-minute games, and he'd be the first guy in the gym the next day, setting the tone for the team and for practice, just to show you his competitiveness. So I think it was 2 days after I'd gotten home from my open heart procedure at the Mayo Clinic, Kevin Garnett comes to my house unannounced. And, I was down and out. I had a really tough recovery. And he came in and played video games with my son Jack. Jack was 5 at the time, and they played I think it was Nintendo. They played baseball, and KG beat him. I think it was 25-1. And that's just who he was. I mean, he didn't care who you were. It's just his overall competitiveness is what made him special. And, again, I use that for our guys all the time as far as what they can do, why the great ones are great. It's because of their approach every single day, and that's who Kevin Garnett was. It's who he still is.
To that point, you've said you think this team has a little bit more of that, and they're better equipped to handle the intense moments. Why do you think that?
I think I look at it starts with the leadership. It starts with with Sam Griesel and Emmanuel, Jawan, Derek, Wilhelm, Denham. We just have a group that's got some innate toughness to them. And, a lot of times you either have it or you don't. I think this group has, the grit to help us compete. We didn't have a chance to win many ugly games when the ball wasn't going in the hoop a year ago. The one game was probably Rutgers, where I think we shot 29%, still had a chance to win. But this group, I think, if the ball isn't going in, is still going to have a chance to win because of the identity that they're trying to build on the defensive end of the floor. Size, I think we have size, and again, that toughness you have to have. If you're going to compete in this league consistently, you have to have the mental toughness to be able to do that.
We were asking Sam and Derek about their experiences at North Dakota State and Tennessee, respectively. They may have hit on some of those same points. What about Jawan
Juwan and Emmanuel, how did their experiences at Alabama and SMU shape them to be those kind of guys that you talked about?
Well, I think a big part of it is they had success, and all those guys, from Derek playing in the NCAA tournament in Tennessee, Sam playing in the tournament at North Dakota State, Juwan winning an SEC championship in a loaded league, and being on a Sweet 16 team. Then you look at Emmanuel, playing in postseason play. That experience is invaluable as you're trying to build a team, and you got winners, that have been there. So those things that they can instill in the group if somebody gets out of line is very important because they've had success. They've played on the biggest stage, and that's important as you continue to try to build your program.
So just talking in your opening statement about how much confidence you have, what's your advice for somebody that wants to build their confidence and be a more confident player or sort of? Yeah,
it's a great question. I think this game, believe me, from experience, I was a guy that played with confidence, and I was a guy that at times got down on myself if the ball wasn't going in. But one thing I always felt as a player, if I wasn't contributing, if that ball wasn't going to the hole, I was going to find a way, to make an impact on the court. And I always said this: if I wasn't making shots, I'd try to run through a guy. I'd go get a rebound. I'd dive on the floor. I'd do something to impact the team and try to impact winning. Confidence comes and goes. There's no doubt about it. I think we've got a group that will stay together better through adversity. And if you don't do that in this league, you have no chance because it's going to hit you every time you step on the floor. But if you win close games, if you find a way to get over the hump early in the season, then those games become a lot easier as time goes on. And I think this team has a better makeup to handle those adverse situations. Yeah, it's funny how you go through it and what you see early. When we get the group together in June, which again was mostly individual skill work, but you find out a lot about work ethic in those type of environments, and then you start doing team, integrating your philosophies in July, which is all way too early, by the way. But you learn a lot about your group. And you might have one impression on July 15th, and then you start your fall practices, and a guy that you didn't think had a chance to play all of a sudden is in your rotation, and vice versa. But the thing I've seen, there's been a certain group that has had great consistency through it all. One guy I don't talk enough about is Denham. He's a guy that every time he laces him up, you know what you're getting out of him. He's going to go compete. He's going to be in the right spot defensively. He's going to dive on the floor. He's going to guard. So, you're getting a guy that's been in our system. It was very important for him to get here at the semester because, I think he learned a lot last year in sitting out using his redshirt year. But we'll have guys that might not be in the rotation early that will certainly work their way in. And it always works that way, where you have a couple guys that may be in it early, and then the rotation switches up. As far as what that number is right now, I don't know. I can't give you an answer on that. We get 2 exhibition games. We'll play a lot of guys. We've had 2 scrimmages so far. We'll have another one next Tuesday, inter-squad, and then just put the whole package together and see who deserves to be on the floor, not only in the rotation, but probably most importantly, who's going to be on the floor late in games. Yeah, I know we all sit here and answer that question with we want to take steps and we want to get better, and it is a process-oriented group. I do think they take a lot of pride in their work, and they don't skip steps, but it's important. We're in a situation now where I'm not going to put a number on how many wins we need to have, but we got to win. We put this group together with the idea that we're going to be able to compete every night. Now it's a matter of hopefully becoming a confident group as we continue on and finding a way to win a lot of close games. We were 4-10 in games last year that were within 2 possessions under 5 minutes, and obviously that's not good enough. But if you find a way to beat NC State, if you find a way to beat Michigan, if you find a way to beat Rutgers, Ohio State, those games that we certainly had a chance to win, but we made mistakes, too many mistakes at the end of the game. So, if you find a way to win those, could have been a completely different season last year, but we didn't. Now it's about finding a way to do that and winning at the end of the day, and hopefully competing for a postseason berth.
Earlier at the podium, you were saying that some of that is confidence. Early losses. How can you tell that that's part of why they're not winning those games?
Well, I just go look back at my time as a player, Jimmy, and the teams that I was on that had that innate confidence in them. We just always knew at the end of games we were going to find a way to pull it out. Did we win all of them? No, but we certainly won more than we lost. Teams at Iowa State, we won our close games, and that's the reason that we won. Big 12 conference championships. It's the reason we had high seeds is because we won close basketball games. Do we win them all? No. But if you find a way to get over the hump, then you have the confidence to know you can do it. So that to me is where you gain that. You gain it by winning close games, knowing you can do it, and then you're able to execute the things that you want to do down the stretch.
Were you ever on teams that didn't have that? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, it's not. And I played on teams where I didn't have individual confidence, and you know what happened? I found myself out of the rotation usually. those types of teams. But yeah, I played in plenty of teams that didn't have it. And some, again, some of it's youth, and we have an older team this year. One thing we really wanted to do was get older teams that had won, that had size and toughness to them, and we accomplished that with with some of the additions that we've made to our roster. But yeah, there's a lot of factors in play, but confidence is as big a factor as any in closing out those games.
Talk about the kind of off-court stuff and schedule stuff. What about
Yeah, he'll have the ball in his hands when he's on the floor more often than not. And Sam, to me, his biggest impact is you can't speed him up, and he's so poised with the ball in his hands. And in our two scrimmages, he has 0 turnovers so far. So, when your lead guard takes care of the ball and can get you into an offense, that's huge. And, just the poise he has, making sure guys are in the right spot, and then going out and executing the play. Yeah, the only thing you can focus on, Amy, is trying to get your guys past it, learning from it, and then hopefully doing it. When we got to the point where we did it, you saw a completely different team. You saw a confident team out there on the floor. I even look at a couple games that we didn't win. Iowa was a game who was obviously playing as well as anybody late in the year. Where we gave ourselves a great chance to win, and then we beat, I think it was Minnesota, and then lost one, and then won those 3 in a row on the road to close out the season. So you gotta get one under your belt. And again, we got healthy at the end of the year. That certainly helped. But overall, we found a way to get one, and that led to the next one and the next one, and then we were up 14 in the conference tournament, and kind of fell back in some of those old habits that we had early in the season. But I love the way we closed out the year, how we were playing, and certainly we've carried some of those principles into this season, at least from an offensive standpoint.
Can you see their confidence, all the things they need to be doing, trending in the right direction, or is that something that you can't really tell until it's out there?
Are you going to write an article on confidence, do you think, Jimmy?
We're all talking about it.
No, I know.
You brought it up.
I know. What was your question? Sorry.
Can you see that in the preseason, or is that something you have to see?
Yeah, we could say all we want about the preseason, but it doesn't matter until you start playing games. That's where, you have to live with everything that you're trying to build as far as, the messages and the preaching. And, if things aren't going your way, are you going to continue with the message and continue with the game plan? And I've seen a group that has done a great job with that. Again, I think the poise and leadership of Sam and Emmanuel and Derek, having those guys that have been through it. This is Derek's 4th year in our program now. And, he's seen a lot. And, now I think a big reason you could talk to him about it, why he came back, because he saw, some of the guys that we brought in and the additions and how we were going to build moving forward. And, hopefully he'll be a part of a winning team this year. But, we got a lot to prove. There's obviously, not hide from the fact that we've been picked at the bottom. And, I think this is a team that has some pride that's going to want to go out and prove people wrong.
Coach, how much did you lean on analytics in the transfer portal to find and circle the right guys?
Yeah, I mean, analytics is a big piece for me of, especially when I got to the NBA, first of all, working in it, and then coaching. You see how different shot distributions, for example, are in today's game than what they were 15, 20 years ago. So, yeah, analytics is a piece for me. It's not the be-all, end-all. And, I think when you look at everything as you're trying to construct your roster, certainly you look at the analytic piece, but you also look at a lot of other factors. What type of person, if they had success, the size. That's such an important part in this league, being able to compete, every night against physicality. We needed to obviously improve our rebounding. We felt we addressed some of that with Blaze and with Jawan and with Greasel. Greasel's an excellent rebounder at the point. So there's a lot of factors, but certainly, yes, analytics is one of them.
Sam and Jawan, I know those are two guys that stood out in certain models, and neither one of them are guys that take a ton of threes. Why were they guys that popped?
Yeah, I think a big part of it was, again, just the things that we needed to address with our team, and size and toughness and rebounding were a big part of that. You look at Jawan's analytics; he's a very good offensive rebounder. He needed to work on his defensive rebounding, but from an offensive rebounding perspective, he was one of the top guys in the country. Greasel, you look at his numbers as far as rebounding. I look back on some of my best teams, they had a point guard that could rebound. DeAndre Kane stands out at Iowa State that averaged almost 7 rebounds a game at the point. You can get away with playing a little smaller on your front line if you have guards that can rebound their position. So those were two big things. And then Sam, he was a high percentage. Even though he was a low volume guy, he was a high percentage guy, and he takes the right shots. And, his big thing is getting others involved. But you look at his overall stat line, of what he did, not only the points, but the percentage he did it, the rebounding, the assists, and he's a high assist to turnover guy. So, he does everything, and that's certainly shown so far in our practices.
How do you blend, maybe a guy's a really good mid-range shooter, but maybe a mid-range shot isn't the most analytically going to jump off the page? Or how do you blend that, taking the right shots compared to what a player's really good at?
Yeah, I mean, we chart all of our live action, and we have a pretty good sample size as far as what our numbers are, and we are a very low contested mid-range shooting team. And, when we go in and have our meetings and go into film session, we talk about all the different shot distributions, the percentages that we are shooting. And now that we have a big enough sample size, we don't want to take those low percentage shots, especially those contested mid-range ones. If we have open, we're actually shooting very high percentage on open mid-range shots right now, which I still don't love that shot, but if we can make them, then shoot them, And we try to, obviously, two areas you want to get your most shots are in the restricted area and open threes. Those are by far and away the highest true shooting percentage shots on the floor.
When you talk about those analytics, do you ever think about it would be nice to have that 15, 20 years ago when you were a player?
Yeah, probably would have helped me with my contract situation.
Right.
Yeah, but, I think I just, when I go back and look at our shot distribution when I was coaching, even back in, 2010 to 15 when I first got into this crazy business, is, when I look back at our shot distributions, a lot of it had to do with Royce. I mean, we took very few mid-range shots because he could get in the paint, either score at the rim, or he'd spray out, and we led the nation in three. So that's kind of where it started with the system. And then, now it's about getting the right guys, that can capitalize on those shots that you're trying to produce. But yeah, it's a different era, When I had my open heart surgery, that's when shooters started getting paid. So I picked a bad time to have to do that, even though it saved my life.
Is it tough in the Big Ten, though, when you have so maybe traditional bigs are playing drop coverage, and they're going to kind of bait you into those shots?
No, that's a great question. That's 100% accurate. They're trying to get you to take those shots with the drop. Going back in the restricted. It's a different attack against the drop coverage. You're trying to create a downhill opportunity against a big guy. And drawn two to the ball, and then they will have to come in and either tag the roll man or help off the corner, and that's when you can spray those shots out for threes.
What would a step forward look like for CJ?
Yeah, CJ, it started with his body and his commitment to taking care of himself, and he dropped 15 pounds. So, that's where it started for CJ. He addressed it. He knew he had to get better with it, and he did it. He accomplished it. And, you look at his year last year, he had a good year. He shot 41% from three, averaged, I think, almost 9 points. And especially the way he finished, he was a 50% three-point shooter over the last couple months of our season. So yeah, his biggest thing was working on his body and being able to play more sustained minutes and playing longer stretches because of what he did, from a physicality standpoint. So CJ's been awesome. He's worked on a lot of things, and his body probably being the biggest thing.
Was that like through diet, like changing workout, like all of the above?
Yeah, both. I'd say both, Amy. More than anything, diet. And he changed completely changed his approach on nutrition, and it's really paid. Not that he ate crap all day last year, but he really watches everything he puts into his body. Our guys check in daily with our nutritionist on every meal that they have, and CJ has really bought into that. And again, he knew he needed to change it if he wanted to take his game to the next level, and that's been very impressive with what he's done with his body, and that's going to take care of a lot of the other things that he needed to work on.
What does it take for a guy who's making a jump like Sam, maybe the high major success?
Just, I think one beats continuing to be the guy that he is, that made him who he is, and then now it's get used to the speed, the size, and the athleticism with the jump up. But he played against great competition, his first couple of years, and had some success against those teams. I loved him when we played him a couple of years ago. It was actually one of our better games that year. But what he does on the floor, he can't change anything, as far as his approach. But the size and the athleticism, there's no doubt. Every night it's going to be a step up. But he'll handle it fine because of his poise and some of the things I said earlier as far as not getting sped up. He's a very calming influence on the court.
His size, right? No matter where you go, not a lot of 6'7" guards out there. From paint.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges that present other teams who are trying to defend?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly post him if he's being guarded by a smaller guy, and he's going to make a right decision. I've had big guards. I had DeAndre, I had Delano, who we never really got a true look at, who Delano is today because of the COVID year and how hard that hit him. But, there were some unique things we did with Delano that season. And he just, he can guard multiple positions. When you have that type of length, it can allow you to switch. I think we've got bigs that can move their feet and, guards that can certainly handle matchups from a physicality standpoint. So, yeah, hi, Kent. How you doing?
Yeah, obviously did it.
What was that process like when Sam entered the portal? Like, how did he get to the point where he entered the portal and then you guys were calling him like, this is the guy we have to go after?
Yeah, I mean, we did it the right way. We waited until his name hit, and, we continued to check, when his name hit. And as soon as it did, we were on the phone, immediately after and just talking to him. And he had great options. I mean, he could have started his professional career. He's going to have great options after this season because of his positional size. He'll have a chance, to play at the highest level. His dad's from Germany, so he's got the passport, which is huge as far as opening up options. But yeah, that first call, start the dialogue of how cool it would be to come out and finish your career where he grew up. Wasn't a hard sell because of the passion that he has for this program. He's talked at length about that and the type of impact he can have on the community, not only from a basketball standpoint, but what he's doing to make an impact. As far and all of our guys have done that. They've really been committed to, having being a positive influence on the youth of the community.
Target Center got remodeled a few years ago, but what's it like to be back here where you played and worked in the front office? Yeah,
I mean, it's awesome, Chris. It's just it was my favorite place that I played. Big part of that was probably because I had the biggest role on a really good team. And, I look back at that year with unbelievable memories. Also what could have been with Cassell, being hurt in that Lakers series. But, it just, so many great memories of this place. And I love coming back. We have family up here. We still get up to our cabin a couple times a year. And, ultimately when it's all said and done, that's probably where we're going to end up. So, we absolutely love it here. People treated me, so well in the Twin Cities, and it's just it's a great place. And my family, we're very grateful for our time in Minneapolis.
Your basketball reference photo is of you in Bulls. This is your favorite place.
What's that?
Your basketball reference photo is in Bulls.
Oh, it is. Well, No, that's true, Amy. That's true. That's a fact. Yeah.
Perks of being a comic.
Yeah. But the hairstyles were different back then, Amy, as you know. I mean,
Believe the myth of how Sam got hurt?
What's that?
You believe the myth on how Sam got hurt?
The myth. What was that?
The dance?
Oh, that's yeah. He always liked to show why he made those big shots, Kent. Yeah, running off the floor and letting everybody know why he made those shots. I don't think that's true though. He did it every game. I mean, it's not like that was the only time he did it. He'd make the big shot. He was Mariano Rivera, man. He was our closer. He was so good. Listen, you go from Sam Cassell playing point guard to me. I mean, you know that greatly reduces your chances of winning. Wally. Yeah, but you know what? He got healthy at the right time, and you know we were able to, I think, really create roles with, you know, Mad Dog was on the floor at the end of those games. He'd get the offensive rebound, take the charge, and I'd stand in the corner. And then those other three guys, you knew you were playing through them.
Were you most intimidated by them?
When?
When?
You know, that's a great question. But it was probably my first training before I really knew him. You know, that first training camp, he just, you know, all of a sudden he'd just go off and start, you know, foaming at the mouth and yelling at you. And then you just kind of realize that's who he was. You know, even on the bench, Kevin had 2 cups. He'd have a cup of Gatorade and a cup of water, and he'd sit there and he'd shake, and he'd pound his water and then, you know, kind of sip his Gatorade, and that would be his spit cup. And if he didn't make a shot that he created for you and he blew his assist, he'd look over at you as he was foaming and just start yelling at you and going off on you. I'm like, I got you, man. And then once you knew how to handle it, you know, just give me another chance. I'll make the next one. And then he calmed down. And then he said, just relax. Kevin, you're not helping me relax. But, yeah.